Hey guys, Locky from e-Spurs Australia here with your e-Spurs video preview of the big one. It's the one we all look forward to. It's making me anxious. It's making me excited. It's the North London derby, perhaps the final one at White Hart Lane, and a truly pivotal game in our season, regardless of the local rivalry at stake. A lot to say about this one. Strap yourselves in. I'm actually gonna take a sort of dry stat-based approach for the first half of this preview. So bear with me as I put on my good boy stat looking glasses on and we delve into this. All right, I did a little researching before this one. And if we're going to look at the clubs in the last 8 games and a sort of, imagine a league table, if you will, of the last 8 games, Tottenham are going to be sitting on top of that. 0 losses, 8 wins. Boom. Now, in that time, we've scored 23 goals and we've had 4 goals against us. Now, compare that with Arsenal, who in this last 8 match league table are sitting in 10th with 4 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. They have a goal difference of 0. They've scored 12 and they've conceded 12 goals. They are stink. They're a stink team. They're a garbage team. Simple, right? Now, I also did some sort of player comparisons. So, looking at some creative players, some goal-scoring players. We got Harry Kane here. He's played 25 games, as opposed to Alexis Sanchez, who's played 32 games. So keep that in mind as we roll through some of these. Harry Kane has scored 20 goals this season. Alexis Sanchez is on 19. Harry Kane has a 64% shot accuracy. Alexis Sanchez has 58%. Now, an important one here, one that doesn't come up in the numbers too often, is yellow cards for diving. Now, Harry Kane has none of those. Now, I'm just looking at my little notes here, Alexis Sanchez has 1 because he's a Nancy boy and can't handle someone throwing a bit of a ball near his head, and he writhes around on the floor like a baby. Not my bloody club, mate. Get out of here. It was embarrassing, wasn't it? It was an utter joke. What a joke of a player. And I don't want him anywhere near my team. Never. Anyway, that's those two. Sort of creative players. I've got, a comparison between Christian Eriksen and Mesut Ozil. Now, pass completion rate. Eriksen's at 80%. Ozil is at 87%. But Eriksen has made 1,002 forward passes in comparison to Mesut Ozil's 968. So he's got more passes, but, a slightly better completion percentile there. And more importantly, 12 assists for Eriksen compared to only 6 for Ozil. Eriksen has created 96 chances in the Premier League this season, while Ozil has created only 71. Eriksen has 8 goals compared to Ozil's 7, and he also has 123 shots versus Mesut Ozil only with 36. Also with 3 goals outside of the area compared to Ozil's 1. So what does that say? That says that Christian Eriksen is a more industrious player. He's passing more often. He's looking to shoot more often. He's creating more, and he's an overall better player. And he's going to be the man of the match to look out for me. His goal against Crystal Palace was outstanding. Stuff we always expect of him, but sometimes rarely see these amazing, amazing shots because we know he can do it. But in the last few months, really, he has just been on fire. He's just ticking our team over, and he is just an integral part of our squad. I cannot believe it when people question Christian Eriksen's role in the team. For me, he is He has to be on that starting 11. I expect he's going to have a really good game against Arsenal. I feel like they're going to leave him some space to manoeuvre in, and if he's putting in balls like he did against Chelsea in the FA Cup final, or if he's having shots like he did against Crystal Palace, he's going to be an absolute handful for them. So he's the one to look out for me. Now back to Harry Kane, another little interesting stat that came up. He is basically the London Derby king. He has 18 goals in 25 games against London teams, which is a 0.72 goal per game sort of average. Now, that's just behind Thierry Henry, who has a 0.73 average per game. Now, if Harry Kane scores 1 or 2 goals in this game, boom, he's up the top. He's top dog in the London Derby schema. And if he scores another goal like he did back in March last year, that's what we're looking for, right? That's what we're paying the admission for. Now, what else have I got in here? That's about it. That's about it for comparative stats. I also want to talk about previous games against Arsenal. Now, we all remember back in November? September. Let's go September. I didn't actually look that up. But it was the 1-1 draw at the Emirates. Now, before that game, we'd recently basically went out of the Champions League against Bayer Leverkusen at Wembley, if you remember that game. It was an awful game. Terrible. And we had the North London Derby coming up. And everyone was basically pissing themselves. No one really gave us a chance. Arsenal were on fire at that time, and they were expecting to just steamroll all over us. Harry Kane had been injured for a long time. Alderweireld was out. So it didn't look good going into it. I was quietly confident. But when we played that game, we played out of our skins. Arsenal barely had a sniff. You might remember it was a Kevin Wimmer own goal, and that own goal was contentious as well in that he did get ahead to it, but if he hadn't, the two attacking players behind him would have been offside. So he sort of felt pressured to get a touch on the ball, and it went into his own net. But if he hadn't, it would have been offside. So it was a sort of annoying goal. But, we came back into it. Harry Kane looked super unfit on the pitch, but he was there to take that penalty after a fantastic run from Moussa Dembele, who was absolutely immense that day. Man of the match performance from Dembele then. Now, sort of scooch your mind back to March 5th, 2016, which was my birthday, so I remember it quite well. And it was a 2-2 draw at the Lane. And a very important game. I'll sort of get to that, but you might remember we went behind to an Aaron Ramsey. It never really gets remembered in the sort of, when you think about this game, but it was actually a really good goal from Aaron Ramsey. It was a sort of back heel flick that he did, and it was really depressing. But of course they went down to 10 men, Alderweireld scored, and then Harry Kane scored an absolute... I mean, you know it, I know it. It's there. Go on YouTube. I still get the tingles every time I see it. He takes off the mask. He's running. That was right up here bliss moment for me. I was in this bar in Jakarta. It was my birthday. I was pissed and I was turning around. I was yelling at everyone. Everyone hated me. I was the only Spurs guy in there. Anyway, great moment for me. Of course, we ended up drawing that game. Kevin Wimmer sort of lost Alexis Sanchez, who finished past Lloris to level it up at 2-2. Annoying match, and I'm going to explain why. And it was sort of mentioned on a podcast I was listening to the other day, and it's something I hadn't really thought about, which was perhaps that was the game where the wheels came off for us that season. Not Chelsea. Not even a popular one to point to is West Brom, obviously. But, not winning a game where we're 2-1 up against a 10-man rival It wasn't great. We'd just lost to West Ham as well, and that you'd think if we'd gone on to win that game, well, obviously the points difference would have been that little bit better at the end on the last day of the season, and we wouldn't have perhaps fallen to third. But you feel it might have given us that extra impetus. I think we would have gone top that day ahead of Leicester as well. It was a bad one. It was a bad one. And especially because Harry Kane, what would have been his winner, would have been possibly the best North London derby goal, in recent memory at least. So to have that sort of taken away like that was very annoying. I mean, we didn't lose, but yeah, it was gross. And obviously Kevin Wimmer, again, being sort of part of that. He had the own goal in the recent one. He let Alexis Sanchez go there. Wasn't ideal. So, since I've been watching Spurs, though, I mean, the North London derby has, there was the 5-2. That was not, I did not take that one very well. But for the most part, we've held our own. If not one, it's been a string of draws lately. So coming into this one, let's talk present day for a bit here. Let's finish this beer. Arsenal, like I said, with that league table, Arsenal are in a bit of a rough patch. They've been just scraping through games. An own goal with Leicester just recently. 1-0 here and there. Arsene Wenger is under immense pressure. They're in the FA Cup final, but I don't think that's going to go too well for them. But you'd feel they will bring their game. The mentality will be there against us. So to a certain degree, the form book does go a little bit out of the window. I mean, if it has for us, if we could pick up our game to the extent that we did in the previous game against them this season, being in a dirt patch, and then, almost beating them on their own turf, you'd feel they might be able to summon some of that energy into their game. They lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace, and they looked absolutely dejected and just didn't want to be there. Their big players weren't doing anything. You'd feel that probably won't be the case on Sunday. So it is a hard one to call, but all signs would point to a win for Spurs, right? I mean, we've got to go into this as the favourites, and we have to have the mentality of a team that's chasing the leader, a team that's ready to pounce if Chelsea make one mistake, which they could against Everton, which would be, incredibly important. Obviously, we're playing after Chelsea, so that result will be known at the time, and it could add that extra pressure. Obviously, the bigger picture here is that this is perhaps the last North London derby at White Hart Lane. It's a kiss goodbye, and I'm sure it'll be the most amazing atmosphere in there. How the players react to that, I hope they react well. I mean, our home form is unquestionably outstanding. It's the best in the league. And whether the players can carry that pressure, I mean, look at how they did against Crystal Palace. The pressure was on, but they fought and they won. If we can bring that, if we can bring all of that together and just play our game, play with the energy and the crowd behind us, I see no reason why we can't win this game 3-0. Boom, said it. Worryingly, however, is perhaps the injury to Moussa Dembele. He seemed to limp off against Crystal Palace before half-time, or at half-time. And the news reports I'd read before doing this video, which is Friday, Australia time, I don't know what that means to you, but it doesn't look good for Dembele. He came back for that the one a year ago in March at White Hart Lane where we drew 2-2. He came back just for that game, and he played immensely well, and he was probably the difference between the two teams. Like I said in the previous game at the Emirates, he was man of the match, without a doubt. His strength and his running was the difference and what got us that penalty. Without him, I do worry slightly. Controlling that midfield is essential, and this is the first moment we've really missed Harry Winks. Well, I'm sure there's been a few, but Harry Winks would be really good in this game with Wanyama. I don't know how Poch will approach it, whether it will be Wanyama and Dyer in those central defensive midfield positions as a double pivot. I mean, I trust them both immensely, but whether that creative spark will be there, so that's a worry for me. A not worry for me is the potential return of club favourite and all-round awesome guy, Danny Rose. If he's back, which it's sort of rumoured to be true, I think he was training this week, and Poch has sort of kept, maybe he will, maybe he won't, just to sort of keep Arsene Wenger on his toes. But if Danny Rose is back, I think we'll win this game, hands down. The last two North London derbies, we've not had a full complement in defence. We've either missed Alderweireld or Vertonghen. If we have that Walker, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Rose backline, boom. I think that's it. Obviously, if we want to talk, I sort of mentioned Christian Eriksen beforehand. If we get Son firing, if Harry Kane he was looking good against Crystal Palace, although he was sort of shunted out of the game a little bit. I mean, his finish against Chelsea, that's genius. If he's bringing that form, he's gonna get a goal. He's gonna get a couple. Obviously, one we were missing as well in the previous match this season was Dele Alli. He'll be good. Bringing him in, our front three look out of this world at the moment. Chuck Son in there as well. We've got a really potent forward line that'll just demolish what is a pretty ordinary Arsenal defense. They've even been like chopping and changing their formation recently. So if it's at all uncertain what's going on there, I think we'll capitalize. That's like I said, the form book sort of goes out. On the day, the players need to do it, and I have complete faith in this Tottenham team to really step it up and just play them off the park. If we win this game, we will finish above them. End of story. We can I see two sort of separate ideas about this online. It's the people that'll playing it cool, really, being like, oh, it's not even a big deal that we finish above them. Who cares? We're in the title race. And I completely understand that. But I completely understand the other side as well, which is this is a big deal. Finishing above them for the first time in 20 years or whatever, it's massive. And while in the scheme of things it might not be a big deal, it gets that bug off your back. That bug off your back. I hate that bug on my back. I hate my Arsenal mates having this on me. I hate them at the end of every season going, London is red. And yuck. I hate it. And it needs to stop. And it needs to stop this Sunday. And it's going to be amazing. I have complete confidence. I'm a 3-0 Tottenham. That's what I'm doing. What is your prediction? Leave it down here. Leave a little comment. I'm loving these comments. Get in touch with me. I'll be here after the match with a video review. Probably a little drunk, so look forward to that. I think it's going to be a great game. I wish I was there so badly, and if you are going to be there, good for you, and I hope you sing your heart out. This is Locky from e-Spurs Australia. Come on, you Spurs! See you next time.